The Disney classic Aladdin is full of extravagant displays of wealth, power, and magic. But all of this is there to ask a basic universal question.
I'm listening.
How do we achieve freedom? Every main character struggles for independence. Poor street rat Aladdin longs for the advantages of the rich. Princess Jasmine would happily trade her royal position for Aladdin's freedom to roam.
Feels so...
You're just...
trapped.
And the nearly all-powerful Genie is the most trapped of all, a slave to the wishes of his master. Over the course of the film, the characters learn what it really means to be free. Their happy ending only comes when they start using their freedom to help others. And they learn that freedom also has to be built into the legal foundation of society. Aladdin is the most egalitarian and class-focused Disney movie. Ultimately, it argues that both free will and social power for all people are essential to any civilized state.
Someday, Abu, things are gonna change.
Aladdin and Jasmine experience oppression in opposite ways, but for both, their social class is a prison. Aladdin is a poor orphan with no way to move up the social ladder, and no way to eat besides stealing.
I steal only what I can afford. That's everything.
He's looked down on and detested by his society, which offers him no help, trust, or dignity.
You are a worthless street rat. You were born a street rat. You'll die a street rat, and only your fleas will mourn you.
He has a lot of a certain kind of freedom. Free time, free movement, and free will. He can do as he pleases and make decisions for himself. But still, he can't do what he'd like because he has no money, opportunities, or power. So he can't take control of his life and make his dreams a reality. Jasmine has all the wealth and privilege anyone could dream of.
Never even been outside the palace walls.
But she lacks the very basic independence that Aladdin or anyone living on the street has.
Law says you must be married to a prince by your next birthday.
Her major life decisions are dictated by the law and the men in her life.
How dare you? All of you, standing around deciding my future? I am not a prize to be won.
So wealth alone doesn't guarantee freedom either, as it often comes with many social constraints. Jasmine is just as limited as Aladdin. She can't do anything with her privilege without free will, and he can't do anything with his free will without means and opportunity. So whatever side of the class divide the characters fall on, Aladdin makes it clear that the dividing line itself is a breach of freedom. We can understand the parallels in their situations by looking at the concept of positive versus negative liberty. Philosopher Isaiah Berlin wrote a famous essay clarifying these two liberties. Negative liberty is the freedom from external pressures and constraints. So Aladdin has a lot of this because he's not tied to overbearing parents or needy dependents. He's his own man. But he has no positive liberty or the ability to act on his desires since he has no means or opportunity. Meanwhile, Jasmine has the lion's share of positive liberty. She has access to endless resources and luxuries. But she has none of Aladdin's negative liberty because her life is full of constraints. One of Aladdin's key mistakes is that he blindly thinks having wealth is everything because he's never had it. So he doesn't understand how Jasmine could also feel frustrated and trapped. He tricks her into thinking he's rich without understanding that this isn't what matters to her. In fact, Jasmine falls in love with him despite his Prince Ali persona, because he offers her something else that she's never had before: the experience of free movement through the magic carpet ride. So eventually Aladdin learns that he was short-sighted, not to imagine that others could have different problems than he does, and he was wrong to base their romance on dishonesty. Ultimately, lying and deception are also ways of taking away someone's freedom of choice.
Oh, wow! Does it feel good to be out of there?
Like Jasmine, the Genie is locked into a situation where he has many gifts but no free will to use them. The Genie is the most powerful character we meet, an incredible sorcerer, but he's a slave.
Phenomenal cosmic powers!
Itty-bitty living space.
He can grant any wish except his own. His golden bracelets look beautiful to us, but they're really shackles.
What would you wish for?
Me? No one's ever asked me that before. Well, in my case, forget it.
What?
No, I can't.
Come on, tell me.
Freedom.
So the genie proves that power also doesn't guarantee freedom, and the film uses the genie to personify the lack of freedom that the central characters feel, however much they might seem to have from the outside. Like Aladdin's first interactions with Jasmine, his initial reaction to the genie shows us key differences in how various people think about freedom.
Provisos? You mean limitations? On wishes? Some all-powerful genie.
Aladdin assumes that the best way to milk the genie for all the wishes he can get is to question his power. Since Aladdin has almost no power to affect change in his life, it stands to reason that he would think magic or wealth would be the most valuable things to someone else. But the genie's reaction tells a different story.
Did you rub my lamp? Did you wake me up? Did you bring me here? And all of a sudden you're walking out on me? I don't think so. Not right now. You're getting your wishes, so sit down!
Genie doesn't care to brag about his magic abilities, and he's hardly offended at the suggestion that he isn't all-powerful. But he is offended that Aladdin might send him right back into the lamp and squander the little freedom Genie has. So Genie actually sees Aladdin as the one with the power, because Aladdin has free will and controls the genie's fate.
But oh, to be free. Not to have to go, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? To be my own master. Such a thing would be greater than all the magic and all the treasures in all the world.
So we see that great power can actually result in not being free at all, as it can come with rigid conditions and burdens.
Isaiah Berlin argued that people's freedoms can actually clash or contradict each other.
Essentially, something I want to do might infringe on your freedom. So Berlin wasn't sure it was actually possible for everyone to have lots of both positive and negative liberty in a society where people want and value different things. Aladdin also explores rules and restrictions to power and freedom. The genie outlines 3 unbreakable restrictions on his magic.
Rule number 1, I can't kill anybody.
Yeah, so don't ask.
Rule number 2,
I can't make anybody fall in love with anybody else. You little punum there.
rule number 3,
I can't bring people back from the dead. It's not a pretty picture. I don't like doing it.
These rules all relate to either the natural laws of life and death or to free will. No person should be able to control life and death, manipulate other people's feelings, or have the godlike omnipotence of unlimited wishes. So ultimately, there's no such thing as unlimited power or unlimited freedom.
The only way I get out of this is if my master wishes me out.
Aladdin argues over and over in its story that we all have a basic right to freedom. Anytime this freedom is violated in the movie, things start to fall apart. This happens most clearly when Aladdin goes back on his promise to free the genie with his third wish. Denying the genie his basic human right leads to disaster for everyone.
Oh, this is all my fault. I should have freed the genie when I had the chance.
Because Aladdin has treated his friend as a mere possession, that possession, the magic lamp, can be stolen by Iago. If the genie were a free individual, of course none of this could happen. But the genie can't escape, and he's forced to make Jafar's wishes come true because he's still a slave. All of this shows us how exploiting people for our own gain and acting like we own them backfires on us.
Genie! No!
Sorry, kid. I got a new master now.
Finally, Aladdin makes a sacrifice to give Genie his freedom instead of continuing to put his self-interest first. He acknowledges that the genie's fundamental rights must come before anyone's personal desires.
What about your freedom?
Hey, it's only an eternity of servitude. This is love.
Genie, you're free.
As the genie is wished free, his bracelets fall from his wrists like handcuffs, creating a clear visual image of his liberation.
quick, wish for something outrageous. Say, I want the Nile. Wish for the Nile. Try that.
I wish for the Nile.
No way!
So, liberating other people is the ticket to our own freedom. Aladdin can only get his happy ever after once he learns to empathize with both Jasmine and Genie and understand that no one can live free and breathe easy until everyone's intrinsic rights are recognized. The villain Jafar is the extreme example of not learning the lesson that Aladdin does, of what freedom is worth. Jafar has absolutely no respect for other people's free will or basic rights.
He is obviously lying. Obviously.
He sees other people as mere pawns in his game of pursuing wealth and absolute power.
Whoever has the gold makes the rules.
But because he doesn't understand the value of freedom, he's also not aware of what the freedom he already has is worth, and this is his downfall.
The genie has more power than you'll ever have!
He willingly becomes a genie for the promise of infinite power, without understanding what that means. Jafar has never understood what freedom means, or how it must coexist with power, so his fate of becoming a genie slave is poetic justice. The movie teaches that an ideal society must achieve a balance of free will, opportunity, and power. This is the only way to guarantee true liberty for all. After Aladdin frees Genie from slavery, everyone in Agrabah is much safer, because Genie can't be stolen and used for evil purposes. So a society that doesn't guarantee all of its people's freedom is ultimately risking the good and security of the entire nation. At the beginning of the film, the Sultan insists that Jasmine must obey a sexist, classist, and outdated law, and he suddenly realizes that he's been trapping himself into following unfair laws, when all along he's had the power to change what's unjust.
It's that law that's the problem.
Father?
Well, am I Sultan or am I Sultan? From this day forth, the princess shall marry whoever she deems worthy.
Jasmine's and Aladdin's engagement at the end symbolizes combining their partial freedoms to form a new, fair society. Genie draws the whole group into a magic bear hug. These are all now free equals from the highest to the lowest of society, and Genie's magic power is part of all of them. He shoots off into the sky and turns into a firework, just like the fireworks we see earlier when Jasmine and Aladdin fall in love during their magic carpet ride. The firework has become the ultimate symbol of the joy in feeling free.
Their happy ever after is the experience of free movement and adventure, and the real fairy tale ending is freedom for everyone.
The future must be bright for all, or it can't be bright for anyone.
Made you look. Thank you. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching, and if you like our videos, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just click this link here. We spend a lot of time making these videos, and every little bit helps. And of course, the very best thing you can do is subscribe to our channel to get access to all of our latest videos.